Hello, and welcome to Fandom Nights, where we break down pop culture one fandom at a time. I'm Dustin.
I'm Sherman.
And I'm Chris. And this is Rhea.
Our special guest for the evening.
Today we're talking about the King of Omashu, Book 1, Chapter 5 of Avatar The Last Airbender.
There you go, Chris. We got it this time.
This was released on March 18th, 2005, and it got an 8.2 rating on IMDb.
Right on.
So, yeah, Dustin, want to take us through the story?
Kick it off through the story? Alright, let's do it.
Yeah.
So, the first thing I got here is that Aang and Katara and Sokka are all kind of pulling up to Omashu.
Mm-hmm.
And first thing he mentions is his friend Bumi, that he used to know 100 years ago when he was alive there. This crazy old little kid who used to think outside the box or whatever. And basically, after that little discussion about who Bumi is, and pretty much just talking about a little bit about the city, and about the rail systems and how he used to use them as slides and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
But their original purpose is like mail and stuff like that.
Yeah, mail and shipping.
Right. I would have done that too. Use it as a slide. Like, heck yeah. But, so then they get down there, and Katara and Sokka make a good solid point that Aang should probably go in disguise, because the Avatar hasn't been seen in 100 years, or an Airbender for that matter. So, he should probably be disguised.
Yeah,
so,
why did he wear the disguise? Because it was...
Because
his tattoos would show?
Would give away. His tattoos would give it away.
Okay.
And that's why he put the little furry hat thing on him.
Appa's fur.
Yeah.
The itchy fur.
Itchy fur, yeah. And then,
This is so itchy. How do you live like this?
And so we run in. They walk out to the front of the gates of Omashu or whatever. Or I guess what would you call it? The rock of Omashu. It's just just a gate, I guess, but made entirely of rock. Mm-hmm. But basically, that's where we get our first mention of Cabbage Man.
Yeah.
Which is my favorite ongoing joke of this whole series is Cabbage Man. The first of many cabbages of my cabbages.
Well, and before that, they're like, Aang is like, oh, this is Omashu. The nicest people live here. And then all of a sudden they like throw his cabbage thing off the side. It's
Oh,
just
yeah.
like, whoa, they're not very nice.
It's like, times have changed.
Yeah.
I thought it was kind of cool that Omashu was a 3-layered wall when they let in. Like, one wall came out, second wall, and 3 layers.
3 different walls.
Right.
It's a huge wall.
Right.
Because what's the other Earth Kingdom city?
Ba Sing Se.
Ba Sing Se.
That's the big one, right?
That's
the
bigger.
gigantic one.
Yeah. This is just like a small Ba Sing Se.
Yeah.
With only one wall.
Right.
Oh yeah, and then they ask him his name. Do you guys remember what he said his name was?
Papanopoulos or something like that.
Yeah.
Pippin
Papanopoulos or something like that.
Pippin
Patalopsicopoulos.
What's his first name though?
Bonzo. Pippin
Pippin Patalopsicopoulos.
Yes.
Which, by the way, like, as a hype girl, like, I gotta give credit to Katara, like, because she just walks up, and she's like, oh yeah, no, I'm June, and then, like, without a hesitation, doesn't even, like, mispronounce the last name.
Yeah.
She's like, oh yeah, no, I'm his granddaughter.
Pippin Patalopsicopoulos. Like, what the heck?
Just fluent. So the next thing we got here is kind of shows a flashback of Aang and Bumi 100 years ago. Mm-hmm. And it kind of reiterates the whole using the chutes as a slide instead of the mail, and then showed them.
Bumi, you're a mad genius.
Yep, and his cute little laugh thing.
Yeah.
Instead of seeing what they want you to see, you have to open your mind to the possibilities.
Yes. I love that connection at the end, but we'll get to that. We'll get there. I'm just too excited. So Katara wants to slow down. And, I got ahead of myself there. So then it kind of cuts to them using the mail chutes as slides. Mm-hmm. Katara, Sokka, and Aang are going for a ride.
Oh yeah, because they just want to use the slide for 1 second, and then they just want to move on.
Right.
But yeah.
Because Aang has all these things he wants to do, and one of these things was go down the slide chutes of Omashu or whatever. And so they're going down and taking turns and obviously going off track and stuff. And so they get back onto the track, and Katara's like, slow down. And he was like, oh, okay, yeah, I can use more airbending for more speed.
Yeah. Hey, use your airbending.
Good idea.
I can go faster.
Yeah.
Well, and I love the laughing in this series because Aang's like mirthful laugh, just and then he's just laughing, and all of a sudden the spears come like right behind them.
Oh, yeah.
And they're just.
But he doesn't see those.
Yeah. Well, all of them just look over and they're just like,
Help.
Perks of having an actual 12-year-old voice actor.
And then they're just like going off all these jumps and everything, and it's. I was watching it with Rosie, and she was just so entranced by it. She's like, She had the same reaction when I played Spider-Man PS4 the first time, and I climbed up to the top of the tallest building and jumped off. She's just she had the same reaction in this show.
That's funny.
And then there's one part where they're going on top of a building, and there's like a little board ramp. And it's like, oh, it looks like they're gonna jump off of that.
And then
it just crashes through the wall, and then they slam down.
Which, the fact that it's a roller coaster, I love that. Like they took the time to like give that inside joke of like, no, we're gonna stop for like a little picture moment.
Yeah. And that was super cool. It was like a Roadrunner type thing. Ding.
Right. Is this the part where they paint your picture during like at the top or at the bottom of a ramp?
So then during that crash, we get the second Cabbage Man moment because they crash into the cabbages.
Oh, yeah.
My cabbages!
You got the third one. You gotta say my cabbages next time.
Yeah, but the third one in this episode is different.
Yes, we'll get there, sure. So then, after that, they kind of get captured by the guards or whatever and get brought to the palace.
I'll take
and
2 cabbages.
They are put in front of this old king who is pretty crazy at the beginning.
He's super
old.
old. Well, you can definitely tell he has.
He's super old.
You can definitely tell he has some twinge because he recognizes like.
Well, he recognizes Aang.
Like instantly, yeah.
Right. See, but in that case, like, would you guess that it's Aang?
Right.
Because
like it was just some kid who looked like him.
Because it's been 100 years since you've seen him.
Right.
So like, how would you just like, oh, that's Aang, that's my buddy. Like,
because he's a mad genius.
Yes, there you go. I suppose. So then.
I know he put together the whole thing. Like, oh, he's disappeared for 100 years and he's the same age. So he must have been frozen in the ice. And, yeah. In like 2 seconds, he's just like, ding, I know exactly what happened in the last 100 years. It all makes sense now.
Well, he doesn't know how it happened. He's just like, oh yeah, no.
Yeah.
He's here now. And still 12.
I'm assuming they invented time travel when he was older.
Yeah, and then this is where the Cabbage Man comes and says, he's like, off with their heads, one for each one of my cabbages.
Yeah. I just love Cabbage Man and the Legend of Korra, what he becomes.
Oh, he comes back? Is it the same guy?
Oh, yeah.
No, it's like his ancestors.
Oh, okay.
Oh, for Korra, yeah.
But they don't make cabbages anymore. They make like cod.
So this episode, by the way, is the reason that the cabbage guy was so popular with fans. Like,
it was because of this episode?
No. Well, this is the first time you see him,
right.
But like he was so popular because of that that the creators decided to make it a running gag for the series.
That's awesome.
Right. It was Because doesn't he pop up in Bossy and Say?
He pops up like 5 other times.
Yeah, like just those are random.
Literally random. And I'm like, have you ever thought about changing professions? Like, do something besides cabbages?
It must be pretty successful if he's traveling the world selling cabbages.
Right.
He just has some unfortunate luck.
Do you think it's just him, or is it like one of those situations where...
Oh, it's him and his cabbage.
Like, is it like Officer or Nurse Joy or whatever in Pokemon?
Oh, Officer Jenny?
They're all Officer Jenny and all
they're all like cousins or sisters or like distant relations. Do you think it's actually him, or is it like an Officer Jenny situation?
No, I think it's actually him.
Hold on, Chris. Are you proposing a different fan theory where this is like post-apocalyptic Pokemon world, where like the Pokemon are the benders who teach people how to like use the elements?
I didn't think about that.
Don't be blowing my mind right now. Come on.
Like, kind of Appa is totally a Pokemon.
Yeah.
Like, what in the world?
Badger moles.
I gotta think
That would
about
actually
this.
make way more sense as to why there's like otter penguins, platypus bears.
Okay, we gotta think about this theory. This is good.
Yeah, I'm gonna write that down for later. Yeah, we'll just jump right in.
Oh, yeah.
And actual
Bumi
dragons?
was like, his judgment was, let's have a feast instead of like killing him or something like that.
Cabbage guy just what?
Yeah, and then this is where the first time you hear Aang say, "Oh, actually, I don't eat meat." It's like, whoa, okay.
The first time you see that he's a vegetarian.
Actually, I'm a vegetarian.
Right. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's kind of cool.
Any other little?
In that spot, no.
You? No.
For what?
Any little things to add?
Not really. I mean, because the feast itself, I love how Sokka's just digging in. He's like, "Yo, I'm hungry. Just let's
get it."
Are you giving out foot massages right now?
So then Bumi talks about, or King Bumi, I should say, talks about the 3 deadly trials that Aang has to do.
Yeah, why does he have to do them?
Well, first off, he throws a chicken leg at Aang, and because he catches it with the airbending.
Yeah, that was weird to me. I'm like, why wouldn't you just like dodge it or something? Like, he just catches it with airbending and then he gives up that he's the Avatar. And it's like, well, why wouldn't you just like catch
reflexes?
It? I guess
so fast.
Airbending reflexes. I suppose if you're an airbending master, the first thing you're gonna do is airbend. I guess.
Yeah.
Also, I love the fact that you don't even see him pocket the chicken leg. He just pulls it out of his robe. And throws it with deadly accuracy, like a knife.
That's like one of those. Remember in the first episode when Katara took out a fish out of her?
Yeah.
Like people just always have food hidden in their little secret
Right.
pockets. This is the second time I've hidden secret pocket food.
Secret pocket.
Would you like a drumstick? It's warm and squishy from being in my pocket.
Strangely enough, that reminds me of when we were in youth group together. Because back then, every Wednesday, I don't know why I always did this. I always had candy in my pockets.
So the next part we go through is Bumi escorts him to their chambers, but they're discussing the bad chambers, but that are now refurbished. Take them to the bad chambers. Wait, those got refurbished.
Take them to the new chambers that used to be the bad chambers that are now refurbished.
Yeah. It's the most awkward thing ever.
Shouldn't we just number these?
Do they say that in there? That's funny.
So then, Team Avatar's in their chambers, whatever, and they're trying to escape. So the only way they can escape is through this little tiny hole. And so they who are we gonna send? So they try to send Momo through the hole. So Aang just shoves him in the hole and gets stuck in the hole.
Well,
Momo's just stuck in there.
After Momo's just eating grapes and stuff, just I'm so fat over here.
Yeah.
And then just crams it.
Is that when he's laying on the couch, like with his
Momo?
belly sticking out?
Yeah.
Yeah. I saw something that the creators of the show, they would act out the scenes, and then they would send out them acting out the scenes to the animation companies, and then the animation companies would draw them. And one of the little snippets that they had of them acting out one of the scenes was one of the creators of the show pretending to be Momo with his belly sticking out, just laying there, and so the animators they went into that much detail where they literally acted out a lot of the scenes to get the animators to make them well. So I don't know.
Oh my
It was just
gosh.
really cool. And the Momo one stuck out to me. Oh, and one other thing. So Bumi has rocks all over his hands, and it just reminded me of Thanos, and it made me happy.
You mean
because they're all different colored?
Yeah,
things,
he's like the Bumi is basically Thanos. He collected
but
all
not bad.
the Infinity Gems, the Avatar Gems.
The Avatar gems. One for each bending.
You notice he doesn't snap, so he's not using his full power, and he's 100-something years old, so he's using the reality gem to.
I feel like he.
He doesn't.
I feel like
So should we
he
just?
had to
We're
have snapped.
gonna just talk about Marvel now.
Yeah.
We're just done on Avatar.
Forget the next 2.5 seasons. We're good.
Yeah, we're good. So Bumi, it's the next morning, and Aang is gonna do the first trial, and to get Aang to do these trials, he throws those crystal rings on. Sokka and Katara that just grow
Oh yeah,
all the
growing
time.
things.
Right, the growing crystal. I forgot what they were called, but that's what I should have wrote that down.
I think it was like growing crystals or something.
No, it's made out of
Creeping crystals or something like that.
Yeah, that's what they call it, but they actually give it a name.
It's actually like made out of rock candy or something like that. Because at the end, remember, he eats it.
Later on, which doesn't make any sense. You'd think it would grow in your stomach and like.
I don't know. Maybe the stomach acid gets rid of it. I don't know.
Some acid nullifies the growing crystals. Okay, got it.
But he mentions that they have till nightfall to survive. So the first trial is Bumi makes Aang go after his lunchbox key, and so
it's so random.
Yeah. I need my lunch. I need my lunchbox key. And so Aang tries a couple of times and fails, and Bumi just kind of makes some snarky remarks at him. Just you don't think people have tried that?
Oh, climbing up the ladder. That's a new one.
That's a new one. No one's tried that.
Genomite.
Oh, thank you for looking that up. We need someone on the computer. That's you.
Yep. The fact checker.
You're the fact checker. So, Aang finally breaks off a chunk of those. What do you even call it?
Stalactites.
What?
Or is it a stalagmite?
It's a stalagmite.
The heck is that?
Because it was a bottom one that he broke off.
It's a bottom one that he broke off.
Stalactite is the top one.
Because it hangs tight to the ceiling.
Oh, is that how you remember that?
Where do you know this from? How do you know what
I'm just
inside caves?
I'm just smart, Dustin.
No, you just know weird stuff. Like what I don't even know what you just said. I think Rhea has a note.
Appa weighs 10 tons? That's right, Rhea. Appa does weigh 10 tons, as referenced by the Avatar in this episode. 10 tons.
Oh yeah, because when they try to stick Momo through, and he's like, "We have a 10-ton flying bison."
Right. Yeah. 10 ton. And so Appa being 10 tons it's crazy that he can airbend himself up.
Is that an exaggeration? Like, oh, I have a million things to do today.
Maybe. Well, we'll find out. Because I thought that somewhere else they say that his actual weight. Or no, there's a spot later on where there's a wanted poster, and if you translate the Japanese or Chinese, whichever one it is, on that wanted poster to English, it says 3 tons or something like that. But this spot it says 10 tons, so maybe it is exaggeration.
I mean, he is 12.
He's 12 tons?
No, I'm saying Aang is 12.
Yeah.
I guarantee you he doesn't know the actual weight.
Rhea knew it. She just said 10 tons, right?
Good job.
Yeah. She's wild.
So the next test, Aang has to go out and get Flopsy. And so Aang is chasing this tiny little dog thing. I don't even know what it was.
Oh yeah, that was one of my questions. Sure, creature dude. What the heck is Flopsy?
Flopsy. Well, first off,
is he a lemur?
Before we pass up that, there's a regular bunny.
Was there?
That's what he's chasing in. He thinks
Flopsy was a regular bunny.
Was a regular bunny.
Oh, it wasn't a different breed or anything?
No, there was nothing weird.
Okay.
It just had weird, abnormally long ears.
Huh. Okay.
Yeah.
So then what is Flopsy?
Flopsy's a tough one.
I assume that the bunny was a younger version of Flopsy.
I thought Flopsy was like a bunny dog or something like that.
Yeah, it's a tough one because there's no distinct, because he's got horns.
It's like a monkey,
first of all.
It's like a monkey rabbit or something. Oh, he's horns?
Yeah, he has little tiny horns.
Like a monkey ram rabbit.
A goat rabbit, maybe?
Monkey
goat rabbit?
Yeah, that's what Flopsy is. Okay. He's the most Pokemon thing, speaking of Pokemon, in this entire series so far. Flopsy. Because he goes from a bunny, and then he evolves into a monkey goat rabbit.
Well, I don't think bunny is an actual, younger version of what Flopsy would be.
I took it as that it's the younger version of him. But
no, I'm taking it as Bumi is trying to be
funny.
Clever and
it was 2 separate animals.
Well, yeah, but it was Bumi's or it was Flopsy's offspring.
No, it was Bumi just trying to make Aang
question himself. I choose to believe that it was a Pokemon, and
I choose to believe it was 2 separate animals, and it was a.
It was 2.
I choose you, Pikachu.
I choose you, Flopsy. And it was literally like a Pokemon battle because they're up above watching the battle going on in the Pokemon ring.
Yeah, but I mean, like, who's gonna be like, nope, I want you as a normal person to fight this beast.
Seriously, I think this Pokemon thing has a good leg to stand on because the Agni-Kai and stuff is like pretty close to a Pokemon battle.
I mean, it'd be an actual like trainer to trainer battle, but
right. Anyways.
So he catches Flopsy.
I'm really hoping that doesn't pick up anymore.
The Pokemon thing.
Yeah, it's driving me nuts. So his final test is to pick an opponent of his choosing, and he chooses Bumi.
Which was a smart move.
Yeah.
But then Bumi
turns out to be this freak of nature.
Does a Yoda and just...
Except for like when
he's hundreds of years old.
Flexes so
he's
hard.
Hundreds of years old, and he's like in better shape than I ever will be.
Drops the robe, and like you hear every bone in his body crack.
Yeah.
Alright.
Yeah.
Beast mode.
Like terrifying.
Is it too late to take the axe guy? There are no takesy backsies in my kingdom.
He's like a 112-year-old kid. That's what I love about him.
So this is the first earthbending episode, and this has the most earthbending. It's more earthbending than all the other bending and all the other episodes combined. Well, per episode. There's 48 times where Bumi's earthbending and changing things.
Oh, I mean...
Yeah, and it's so fast, and it's just boom, 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 one after the other, one after the other. And then...
So this isn't a spoiler, but like, before we get too far, I want to know why you don't see anybody else do this in the entire series, but how does Bumi, like, he does the whole, like, drops into the sand and then reappears somewhere else.
Cool.
No other earthbender tries that.
That was so cool.
Why?
He just goes, whoop, and just disappears into the earth. It's like, oh my gosh.
Let's fight.
Okay.
What do we got?
So we're still in the fight. Bumi was mentioning that he knows airbending tactics, that it's to dodge and evade, and that he needs to attack soon. Like, you can't dodge and evade forever. You gotta attack sometime.
Which is kind of cool, because later on, Toph is trying to teach him earthbending, and he needs to learn to stand his ground instead of evading all the time. So, it's like, Bumi's just almost, in a way, hinting at, like, eventually you're gonna have to start your earthbending training, so learn some lessons here, because you're the Avatar.
Right.
I don't know what he said exactly. I should have wrote down the quote, but he just had some of the weirdest trash talk ever when he was like fighting Aang. I don't know. Just some of the things he was saying was just... It wasn't even trash talk. It was just random gibberish he was talking. Just like, my belly's full. He was like, what?
Oh yeah, he had a ton of random stuff.
Yeah.
He said something about Kangaroo Island, and he's like, it's really hopping.
Oh, that was at the feast.
Yeah. And then,
but like during the battle, I love when Aang like airbends like a huge like breeze, and he's like, "Oh, it's a little drafty in here.
Yeah,
I hope I don't catch a cold."
And I think also at the feast, he's like, they're about to go, and he's like, "Let us leave." Get it?
Which,
like, oh my
by
gosh.
the way, that looked like a floppy piece of lettuce, and how does it have the most like delicious crisp crunch to it? I'm like, is it bark?
Yeah. Okay.
So this is where you also see Bumi like take a chunk out of the entire building just to throw it at Aang.
Yeah.
Just as they kind of checkmate themselves.
Right?
Yeah.
If you really think about earthbending, you could do whatever you wanted like that and just like reform it again.
I mean, if you're a strong enough bender.
Yeah.
But like he rips it out, which I love the fact that like you just see him just like struggle, and Aang's just like, all right, I'm gonna start running in a circle.
Really fast.
Yeah.
Really fast.
So obviously they come to a checkmate and they, quit battling or whatever. And this is when Bumi does that snowflake thing where they just kind of whoop and goes to the second floor.
Which was
just think of like being an earthbender and doing that, and then just like randomly, just like essentially just like tunneling yourself to the second floor.
Right?
The second floor doesn't matter, but just tunneling yourself back up to the surface would be just such a weird feeling. Just like tunneling yourself through rock head first.
Right.
Or even if your hands are up, still, it's just such a weird way to do it.
Yeah, but I mean, like, because later on you see what Bumi can do with just his head.
Oh, yeah.
But, like, having his full body, where, like, I wonder if he's just, like, literally swimming through just...
Probably. Well, because earthbenders can take rock and just turn it to dust if they want. Like, they can do anything with earth. So, yeah, you could separate it out, and I don't know, he could literally swim through. He's a street shark, essentially.
Terrible.
Remember street sharks? Maybe that's in the same universe. Street sharks are earthbenders. Everything's connected, Sherman.
Everything's connected.
Do you remember Street Sharks?
What's Street Sharks?
Exactly.
Oh, man.
It's a 90s cartoon where there's sharks that swam through the concrete.
I've had conversations about, like, old school shows like that nobody remembers.
Yeah.
I'm glad
Street
I grew
Shark.
up on
When we're done with this, I'll show you a video of Vin Diesel advertising Street Shark action figures. It's the coolest thing ever. It's so funny.
So the final test that Bumi gives to Aang is, what is my name? And so Aang's got to think about it.
Which, by the way, that makes me think, just gives me, like, images of the crappy 3-question test at Monty Python and the Holy Grail. Just, like, some crazed old, like, gatekeeper who's just like, alright, before I let you go, here's a riddle.
There's that, the what's my name thing is similar to, it's not Rumpelstiltskin.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, Rumpelstiltskin needs to know, you need to figure out his name, and then in Superman, Mr. Mitsipitlik or whatever.
Mixes Pitalik.
Mixes Pitalik, you have to figure out his name to send him back to the, like, it's weird.
Yeah, well, you have to say it backwards.
And he
to send him back to the fifth dimension.
As playful and crazy as those other characters, so it's interesting. I wonder if he's based off of them.
So Aang guesses the name Bumi, and they have a nice reunited hug. It felt warm in my heart. A friend you haven't seen in 100 years. Just imagine that.
Right.
Just like,
he just realized.
I mean, I kind of was like, why isn't Aang shocked that Bumi's still alive at 112 years old?
Again,
or people just live
a long time in this series.
I guess maybe it's not shocking.
Yeah.
I guess it's more just shocking to me. Just like, oh, this dude's like ripped as like Arnold Schwarzenegger, and he's 112
in his prime.
He is an earthbender, and he lives in a world where apparently you live for hundreds of years. Like I said, I was reading that Rise of Kyoshi book, and there's a person in there that they reference that's like someone the immortal, and I'm like, huh, and like everyone believes that there's an actual person who is still alive, who's been around since the founding of the First Nations, and it's like, huh, okay, so
that would be cool to have a series around that.
I don't know if I haven't gotten that.
It might just be like a weird title.
They reference him, and then they talk about him, and then there's one dude like, are you him? Like, they actually believe that there's someone who is alive who's lived the entire length of the nations, and it's like, huh, okay, so maybe long life is possible. Do we ever see anyone die in Avatar?
Yes.
Do you know of? Well, from natural causes.
Oh
no! From old age, it's always from like war or being captured or killed, like executed.
Well, technically, you never see it on camera.
You're not gonna see it as a kid.
I mean, it's very hinted at a lot.
Okay.
That's it.
I'll have to keep an eye out because I haven't seen any reference to natural death at all in this series.
Well,
so far.
let's say
in Korra, you do.
You do. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's more of an adulter or teenage show more than a kid's show.
Adulter show.
Yeah, sorry, my Swinglish is bad. So
those experienced and aged.
Bumi hasn't changed at all, like literally, since he was 12 years old.
Yeah, as soon as he says Bumi, he like does his little laugh and stuff. And it's like, oh, there he is.
But Katara says, "This is your old crazy friend Bumi," and Bumi says, "Who he calling old?" Because he knows he's crazy.
Yeah. I didn't catch that.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
Because he's like, "Is this your old crazy friend Bumi?" And he's like, "Who you calling old?"
Who you calling scruffy looking?
Scruffy looking nerferner.
Yeah. Who's scruffy looking? That's all he cares about. Who you calling old?
I just mentioned that it was fun messing with people for Bumi.
Right.
Just a good part of his character.
Joke's on you. Bumi is Han. The shuttle system is the Kessel Run.
It's all connected again.
Oh, and I
the
think
Kessel Run is literally running from the top of the city down to the Kessel shop, whatever that is. But see, you have to run down there. But Bumi did it faster because he took the slide.
They sell tea kettles, but it's owned by a guy with a lisp.
Welcome to my Kessel shop.
my Kessel Fop. My Kessel Fop.
My Kessel Fop.
So, anyways, bring it back, boys.
My Kessel
I'm really
Fop.
glad we're all together again.
That's hilarious.
So, the show ends with Bumi and Aang going sliding once more down the chutes.
Yeah.
But then the very, very last part of it is the final.
My cabbages!
There you go.
Sort of.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, because it's like a boom and it's like from the outside of the city.
Right.
And you just hear, my cabbage! Okay, yeah, I do
Yeah.
remember that now.
So before they go sliding, I love how Bumi throughout the entire episode is this like child at heart, but then like within an instant he has no problem going to like adult. Gotta tell you this, all right? You got a huge, big problem in front of you.
Yeah.
You're 12 years old, but you gotta do this.
You gotta do this. But first, let's go sliding. Alright, well, for stats on this episode, there was no instances of waterbending, which was crazy.
Really?
Yeah, none.
Guitar
But
didn't
there was
bend at all.
48 instances of earthbending, 0 fire, and then 17 of airbending. So,
17?
yeah, you'd think there'd be more in a lot of these. Like, even the next episode, I'm like, there's a big battle that happens, and it's like,
I feel like 17's a low number.
yeah, that's how many there is. And then,
Because like, are you counting like him like during like all his trials? Really?
Everything. The thing that I was watching out really closely for was the trial that he had to grab the lunchbox key.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem like he earthbends at all until he throws that thing and he shoots the air at it. He's literally just using his agility and stuff. There's no.
You don't think he
earthbending.
uses his airbending
There's
agility?
a couple times in it, but there's
No, I mean like even when he's just doing his agility, he might not show it, but you don't think he's airbending to like, get a bigger jump.
And that's the hard part about me counting is you don't know if they don't sit, but. Typically, when they earthbend or when they bend in the show, especially airbending, there's like a sound effect in the background, and they kind of show the bending happening. When he's jumping and stuff, then like even in the next episode, there's a point where he jumps down off of a high thing. It doesn't show anything, but it goes like it makes this sound effect as he's landing. It's like okay, he's airbending right there. But none of that happens in most of that trial scene. So
does he airbend at all when he's trying to catch Flopsy?
No.
No, I don't think so.
Really?
I also watched again.
Because he was just chasing it, and then it went into the
him.
hole.
Yeah, and then he stopped.
And then he's like, "Oh, Flopsy."
Yeah. So, yeah.
Weird.
It's surprisingly how little bending actually happens in the show so far. I mean, there's going to be a lot more, but you think like, oh, they're just doing stuff all the time, and he is kind of, but it's spread out and not as crazy as you think. But that's all I got. No Avatar State. Didn't go in Spirit World at all, and yeah.
You got any other things from him?
I mean, not really. The weird part is like the voice acting for this one is very, very simple. Even the guy who voices Bumi, like this is like really his only thing.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Huh.
His
What
entire.
about the My Cabbages guy?
So My Cabbages is listed under just additional voices.
Maybe it's the creators or something.
So I don't know if it's Darren Norris or James C.
Okay. Alright, well, let's rate this episode. Dustin, 1 out of 10. What would you rate this episode?
It wasn't one of my favorite episodes. It was a good episode. I obviously like all the episodes, but I'm gonna give it a 7.6.
7.6. Okay. Sherman?
I absolutely love this episode because of Bumi.
There's so many bad jokes.
It's right. There's so many terrible puns.
I'll say it from a story standpoint.
Yeah.
But I mean, like everything together, like having like Aang's personal history as like coming full circle and seeing like meeting his old friend again, who's magically still alive.
Yeah.
You can tell that like bad vices don't exist in this world. Smoking, drinking, everybody drinks tea.
Oh yeah.
Well, drinking does exist in this world because in some of the novels and stuff they do talk
Yeah, but I'm saying like
but it is
they're
a
not
kid
like
show.
major vices.
Right.
But yeah, like I would personally give this like an 8.3.
Huh.
8.3.
I love this episode.
So the voice actor who did Cabbage Man, his name is James Sy or C.
James Sy.
Sy.
C.
S-I-E.
Okay. Well.
See, that's the problem when they
story-wise-
they listed just as additional voices for their like credits.
Yeah. For me, story-wise, it was a good story. It wasn't great, and I did like all the jokes. Just off the top of my head, I think I'm gonna go like 7.8 or something. Because there's a lot better things out there. I feel like so.
Oh,
Yeah.
you were walking funny. You were walking all funny. I thought you were gonna fall.
So that gives us a rating of 7.9, which is pretty much.
Which is lower than the original rating.
Yeah.
Huh.
All right. Well, that's all we have for this episode of Fandom Nights, and
We'll see you guys on the next show.
Open your mind to the possibilities.
and let us leave.
Let us leave.
My cabbages!